Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of TADTalk. Well, there are certain shows where we have fun, we welcome the guests, and there's certain shows where I just simply geek out, and this is one of them, right, Nick?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm excited for you for this one. I'm excited myself for this one as well, but I've had the pleasure of interviewing Roger Joseph Manning Jr. from Jellyfish and Dusty Brooks from Tragedy Andy, and some of these people I've looked up to for years, but this is one of those moments for you.
In my opinion, the greatest band in the world ever was not the Beatles, it was 10cc. And the lead singer, well, just check out this video now.
I'm not in love, so don't forget it. It's just to see the face I'm going through. And just because I call you up, don't get me wrong, don't think you've got it made. Not in love, no, no. It's I like to see you, then again, doesn't mean you mean that much to me. So if I call you, don't make a fuss. Don't tell your friends about the two of us. I'm not in love, no, no. It's because rain and the blues begin to flow. When the sound came over on the police car radio, down to precinct 49, you happen to take out summertime. Start to break, you got a call from the governor of the county jail. He said, load up, load up, load up the rubber bullets. Load up, load up, load up the rubber bullets.
I love to hear those convicts squeal. It's a shame these slugs ain't real.
But we can't have dancing at the local county jail.
In my opinion, they are the best band in the world. I'm Not in Love, Life is a Minestrone, Silly Love, not Silly Love Songs, Silly Love, Wall Street Shuffle, Dean and I, Rubber Bullets, Donna, it goes on and on and on. Welcome to the show, our special guest, Mick Wilson. How are you, mate?
Good evening or good morning. Well, afternoon or evening for you guys.
I thought you were going to say good morning, Judge, then.
Good
It is noon for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's like evening there for you. But thanks for coming on the show, Mick. It's
Pleasure. Pleasure, mate.
great to have you on here. I'm going to ask you a 10cc question right off the bat. I always like asking hard questions, and you can only pick one. What is your favorite 10cc song?
The Dean and I.
Yeah, you see? That's his favorite.
That's my favorite as well, by a mile.
Well, it's a Godly and Cream tune for starters, and it's just harmonies for days. You know, so it's as you guys say, it's in my wheelhouse. You know, Great.
Fantastic.
And I think it's even less than 3 minutes. You know, so it's a proper old school pop song. You know.
Yeah, great song. Great song. Okay, what's your favorite 10cc song? And you cannot pick the Dean and I because he already picked it.
Why do you have to do that to me?
Yes, you can.
He's an. Oh my gosh, that just became way more difficult. Okay, then I will say, "Life is a Minestrone."
Oh, you picked mine.
I know I did. I did that on purpose as well because now you can't pick it. But "Life is a Minestrone" is a great song.
Death is a cold lasagna. Okay, so I can't have Dean and I can't have Life is a Minestrone, and I'm not going to pick I'm Not in Love, even though it's fantastic. So I am going to choose Wall Street Shuffle.
Okay.
Things great lyrically. But I love them all. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But welcome to the show, Mick. We're going to start TAD Talk as we always do with one of Nick's random questions.
Yes, we are. So the random question today is, if you could bring an old musical artist back from the dead to present day and go to a concert with them to show them how much music has progressed, which concert would you take them to? And who would it be that you bring to the present day?
Ooh.
I would probably, I would probably take Marvin Gaye to any modern R&B or rap concert and just say, look at the shit that we've got to listen to whilst
You started this.
and you left us early, and this is all we've got left. Thanks a lot.
That is great. I can't top that. That's great.
That is great.
Go on, who would you?
I didn't even think. I don't know if I could top that either. You know what would be great? I would love to bring back the. He's technically musically inclined, although he wasn't known as a musician. I'd bring Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would show him any Alan Menken song. If let's say Alan Menken was doing a concert, which I would love to go to, but I would just go and just show him like Whole New World and Part of Your World. Not tell him that he was doing music for Disney movies, and just see what he thought about it. And if he was like, "Oh, that's great," I'd be like, "Well, guess what? He's continuing your legacy." So
Brilliant.
That'd
Love
be
it.
cool.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I would bring John Lennon back and ask him to what he thought of Paul, what he's doing these days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I'd bring John back and take him to see Yoko. See how he thinks she's doing these days.
See that thing that she did in the art gallery where she just screamed?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Crazy
Oh,
stuff. Crazy stuff. Well, Mick, thanks, thanks for coming on the show.
What's that?
No, I was just going to say, I think John would probably just say, listen, no.
Yeah, that's it. That'll do.
Come on, Yoko, come on.
Great. Well, Mick, thanks for being on the show. It's great. Obviously, I'm going to talk about 10cc, but I want to talk about your voice first, because for me, in the world of pop, if that's the right way to describe it, you simply have one of the best voices out there. You hear there's actually a video on YouTube when I first came across hearing you were singing "I'm Not in Love" and live. I think it was done in 2000 and something. But the voice was just resonating perfectly. Your voice is phenomenal. Have you always sung that well? I mean, I know it's kind of a question where it touches on the ego a bit, but I mean, is it a very early age that you've been able to sing that well?
I started very early. I started very, very early. I guess yes. I've always been able to sing. When I say very early, I got a guitar when I was 5, and my brother and I were in kind of talent competitions, and I always took it very seriously. Instead of just sort of ambling up to the microphone, I always took it very seriously. I've not had any lessons particularly, and I don't. Now I look after it a bit more, but as a kid I didn't. But I always kind of sort of felt I'm not a big drinker. I didn't get involved too much in any other kind of enhancement, shall we say. So because I always needed to, because I was always the lead singer, that's the guy that everybody looks at, and the thing is, if the singer's crap, then everything's crap. So I always felt it was my job, even at an early age, to be at the top of my game, to try and do it. My dad probably instilled that in me, said if you're going to, like anything, if you're going to do it, you've got to do it right.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I've always been. I think I've been blessed, very, very much so. I've been blessed with it. I've got a good falsetto, which I've always used, and that gets, especially with the 10C, my time with 10cc, that always had a real good workout. Singing the Lol Cream stuff and Donna and tunes like that.
Yeah.
And I think another way I've been blessed is that I've always been working, and it's like I've never had long periods when I haven't sung, so I've always kind of sort of kept match fit. And I guess if you're match fit as a runner, as an athlete, I've never kind of sort of done that bit where I've not been prepared and then I've pulled a muscle or something like that. So I've not, touched wood, ever had any major physical problems. So the short answer is yes. I've always been able to sing, but I've been very, very lucky. But again, I've looked after it. I've looked after it.
Good for you. Well, you're still singing brilliantly, and you talked about being match fit. So 2020 obviously has been tough for all of us. 4 or 5 months without singing. I know you've recently done a gig back. How was it? Have you kept yourself match fit?
You know what? I did. In January we have this thing. Probably every January you try to have a New Year's resolution, but every January I try to do this dry January thing, and I managed to get from January the 2nd right the way up to the middle of May without alcohol and just generally sort of thinking about what I eat and stuff. So I was doing really well till the middle of May when it was my wife's birthday. and then I fell off the wagon, and I think the wagon reversed back over me a few times. When we knew we were going to go back out and do a couple of gigs, when I was going to do a couple of gigs, I've spent the last month, just reining it in a little bit, trying to get to bed a little bit earlier, and also singing at home. I do lots of singing at home. As you can see, I've got a studio, and there is a difference. I mean, you guys know because you sing. There is a difference between rehearsing and singing, and then singing in front of a band in real life. It's almost like another 25% you've got to find. So I kind of sort of ramped it up gradually and got there. But it was good. It was nice to know. In fact, I think I benefited a little bit, like we all would, from not really hitting it too hard. So I felt very rested, and it was very enjoyable.
Good for you. I know that's in Front Men, and I've never seen the show, and I just imagine it's just racked full of hits. Is it full of hits, that show, or are there some deep cuts in there too? Yeah,
not really, because there's not enough time. But just for the uninitiated to explain it, basically, I've got together in the last 2 or 3 years with 2 other very good friends of mine who are also singers. One became the lead singer of the Hollies, and the other was the lead singer of the Sweet. So, like myself, not original members, but they've done it for 15 years plus.
Yeah.
The backstory of us 3 is that we met 25 years ago working with Cliff Richard.
Oh wow!
But we were the three backing vocalists for Cliff, and we felt that we made a pretty good sound then. And then over the years, the following 20 years or whatever. It just so happened that we kind of almost had the same journey. We were writing songs, trying to be successful in our own right. But in the meantime, you get a phone call, and do you want to go and play with Graham Gouldman, or do you want to go and play with Tony and Bobby from the Hollies, or Andy Scott from the Sweet? So we kind of, all 3 of us went off. And then we met back up about 2 or 3 years ago, bumping into each other, and said that we'd fancy doing something. And then, long story short, a promoter that was promoting the Sweet heard about it from Pete Lincoln, who sings with the Sweet, and he said, let's just do a couple of shows, see if anybody likes it. I think it's a great idea. So the concept was to do 2 45 minutes, let's say 2 hours of music, and we divided it up into 4, basically, a quarter to 10cc, Hollies, Sweet, Cliff Richard.
Right.
And we started from there, and we did a few bits, and we started in Germany particularly, because this is where this guy was, and it kind of took off. And 4 years later, we've written an album of original material. And yeah, it's going. You know, apart from the COVID thing, you know, this January, February, we did a tour and sold out a few places, and hopefully we can start again next year.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. So it seems, without knowing the backstory of the friendship, putting 10cc and the Hollies together, I can see that. But then you throw in the Sweet, and that takes a big left turn in terms of the material.
Yeah, it's the thing was, we decided, because at the time all three of us were in the band, and we knew that it gets very political a lot of the time, and we knew that we didn't want to go out with a live band, because if I'm the current singer of 10cc, say, and we go out with a live band, then people would say, well, this is 10cc then, isn't it? Because Mick's singing and the music's the same. So we really did make a point, and we kind of preempted any possible backlash from the three bands. So we said, look, it's just going to be acoustic. So it's just going to be three mates getting together, and we just happen to be playing the songs of the bands that we are known for.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was you know, everybody appreciated that it was a commercial decision. It's like going for a job. You know, you don't go for a job and not mention your CV. You know, because the guy says, well, okay, well, I'll pay you $500 a week. You know, and you say, well, actually, I've just left Google or I've just left Apple, and okay, right, we'll give you $1,500 a week.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So we had to up our stakes, you know, by saying that this is going to be good, because one of us is in this band, one of us is in that band.
Yeah.
So we kind of did it like that, and so it was all acoustic, and it is weird when you hear some of the Sweet stuff we had to change a little bit, because it is primarily rock.
Mm-hmm.
But we do versions of Love Is Like Oxygen with, like, I play a bass with like a kicker pedal to give a bit of a thump, and two acoustic guitars. But when you play an acoustic thing and you arrange the harmonies a bit kind of Eagles-like or Crosby, Stills and Nash, and then you do it next to a Holly song, it's not so much of a jump.
Yeah.
Because a song, you know, and we've picked the ones that work best. You know, we're not going to do, Blockbuster or something, which is predominantly drum driven, you know.
Yeah.
And again, you know, most of those songs were written on guitars, you know, two guys in a room on guitars, you know. So when you strip everything back, the chords are there, you know. It's not
interesting,
It's not like trying to do, a Lady Gaga tune or a dance tune that's primarily production.
Yeah.
You know, like kalimba, and then it goes to like a muffled, filtered bass drum or something. Like these songs were just written, and if you want something to lift in a song, it was done musically. You know, there wasn't these these whoosh rises you get in pop music now to say, oh, here comes the chorus, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting bigger, isn't it? You know, and then the chords changed, but it took you on a journey to lift you there. You know. And in the old days, you know, the bridge of a song, that's what it did.
Oh, exactly.
Between one section and another section, you know.
Yeah.
A bridge is just basically pulling all the faders down and just having the vocal and the kick drum. You know?
Yeah. No, yeah. One of my favorite songs of all time is a Holly song, "The Air That I Breathe." What a great song! Did I say breathe with an
Breathe.
Breathe.
Air That I Breathe.
Yeah, it's a great song, isn't it, Mick?
Yeah, Albert Hammond, great songwriter.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I think because somebody, I may be kind of saying this out of turn, but somebody in Germany promotes him, and he was talking about the song, and I think it was like one of those songs that, you know, 20 minutes, half an hour.
Really?
Because actually, when you listen to it, it is a very, very simple song.
Yeah.
You know, and just the thing of it, you know, all I need is the air that I breathe and to love you.
Yeah. True, simple, but
You know,
great. When we,
I
know. Do you know that song?
Yeah.
I don't actually.
Do you know?
No.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great. But the lyrics are simple, so you're not a big fan of simple lyrics, are you?
It depends, because there's some songs that are great and the lyrics are simplistic. I Just Called to Say I Love You. It's a great song. So
The words are sometimes all I need is the air that I breathe and to love you. All I need is the air that I breathe and to love you. All I need is the air that I breathe. Yeah, all right. We'll be back after the break. We're going to talk about
copy paste.
Wait a minute. Each word is worth about $1 million, fella.
Yeah, exactly. After the break, we'll come back and talk a few other things, maybe songs with more interesting lyrics, big songs, and of course 10cc. We'll be back after the break. Don't go away.
Welcome to TAD Creative Studios, Arizona's state-of-the-art creative facility. We are a turnkey operation, so you're not wasting any time on setup. Simply show up and start rehearsing or recording. We offer our on-the-fly video switching and editing, meaning you can walk away with the edited footage the very same day. We can come to your location, and our setup is ready-made for indoors and outdoors. Our 30-foot LED video wall provides the perfect backdrop for bands and entertainers. The results are amazing. Create your next YouTube presentation on our multifunction interview set. Over 20 years experience creating and producing the most effective scissor reels in the market. TAD Creative Studios. Check it out for yourself.
And we're back with part 2 of TAD Talk with special guest Mick Wilson. In the first part, we were talking about songs with great lyrics, good lyrics, but great melody in the Hollies song. But let's talk 10cc for a little bit. Obviously, I'm a massive fan, but is there any truth in the songwriting process? I don't know if I read this or I've just thought about it, but it always seemed like a lot of the early 10cc songs were actually 2 songs that were just thrown together. So you'd have a song like Wall Street Shuffle, where you've got down, 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 and then the middle bit, which is not a chorus, I guess you can call it a bridge. Oh, how are you? Which is very McCartney. Is it true that the 2 of them wrote one bit, the other 2 wrote the bit, and they threw it together?
I'm not, obviously I wasn't there at the time, but just sort of hearing the way that Graham writes bits of music and hearing the kind of styles of the other guys, I think it's probably, people kind of sort of said, well, we'll contribute this bit, and it probably wasn't as black and white as that. I do know that something like Feel the Benefit, which was a big kind of 8-minute thing. It wasn't, I don't want to use the word prog. It wasn't prog, but it was kind of a little bit adventurous, and and that I think was built out of a couple of bits, and it wasn't necessarily well, you write that bit, you write that bit. I think they had an idea, and I think Graham had an idea for another song or something, and they just said, well, let's see if this fits with this, and it did, and because they weren't the typical pop writers, then you could do stuff like that, get to a bit, and you think, so right, well, this is really going somewhere, this song, and then they would just stop it, as you say, going to half time or change the key or do something else. So they weren't afraid to do that. I do know though that I said when I first said to Graham, when I first started working with Graham, things were very, very complicated, and obviously even as a 5-piece that we were in at the time, the touring thing, I just said, well, we can't really recreate all of this. I said, did you, when you were in the studio, did you think that how the hell can you do this live? Yeah. And he said nobody even questioned it. We just said, we want to do it like this. We want to layer 96 vocals up for I'm Not in Love. This is what we want to do. This is how we want it to sound. And we'll worry about that at some other point. But if they wanted to stop. I would have thought that people have their styles, and they probably, once they were going maybe third album, they probably felt that they not necessarily had to be quirky, but they probably wrote a song and said, well, where's the 10cc bit going to be now? You know,
True.
and I do that if I'm writing with other people for different projects. You know, you write certain styles and you go, okay, well, where's the so-and-so bit going to be? You know, and I remember listening to an interview, I think it was a TV thing with Neil Sedaka, and somebody was talking to him about songwriting, and he said he always wanted to put in what he called a drop dead note, which was this big high kind of like big, you know, something that had a moment, you know, and that was his thing. That was his thing, and I guess the 10cc way of writing was that they were known for these little vignettes or these little sections that felt like they didn't belong, but somehow they did, you know, and then they went back and revisited and stuff. So, but also they were for independent writers. It's not like, I guess, like the Foo Fighters or Nirvana or even the Beatles, you know, where they start in the garage and then they find out who the best songwriters are and stay with it.
Yeah.
They were four independent musicians from Manchester who met at Strawberry Studios.
Yeah.
Graham was already writing for, you know, the Yardbirds and the Hollies and things like that. Eric was I don't know if he owned the studio at the time, but he was the house engineer, so he was a producer, engineer, writer. Kevin and Lowell, they were writing stuff at Art College together. So I guess it might have been just a division of labour as well, you know, where they said, okay, well, you know, all our ideas are so strong, we want a little say. And that was kind of the magic, I guess, you know.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, back in the late 70s, I did some sessions at Strawberry as well as at Smile and a bunch of other studios in Manchester. Never got the chance to interact with them, but obviously was always a big fan. And I think this is correct, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, but when Neil Sedaka made his comeback, after he was in France for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, 10cc was his backing band, and he recorded at Strawberry, is that right?
They recorded the whole of the Solitaire album there, yeah. They produced it.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah, so the you know, Solitaire's the only game in town. 10cc playing, you know, plus the orchestra, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a song! What a songwriter Sedaka is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a nice. I've only ever met him once, but a thoroughly nice chap.
Yeah. He the Laughter in the Rain is such a great transition into the chorus. Ooh, I hear laughter in the rain.
One
Yeah.
Sedaka song. If you had to pick one Sedaka song, what would it be?
If I had to pick one, can I go last?
Yeah.
Mick, you've got to pick one Neil Sedaka song. Which one will it be?
I like Laughter in the Rain. I think it's lovely.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit kitsch, but it's just up there. You know, it's just, yeah, that's lovely.
Have you ever performed it?
Yeah, many times. Many times. Functions and weddings and bar mitzvahs. Yeah.
What about you?
Should I pick yours or should I pick a different
Oh,
one?
you're an ass. Go on.
And I'm not going to pick yours. I'm going to pick a different one.
Go on.
The Immigrant song.
Oh, you're an ass. That's
The
fine.
Immigrant? The
Yeah.
Immigrant?
Do you-
That was yours?
Yeah. Do you know The Immigrant?
I think I've heard it before, but I'm not too familiar with it really.
I'll just start off.
It's the one that does
Harbors open their arms to the young searching foreigner. There was a time when strangers were welcome here. Great song.
Right.
amazing
yours?
song.
I can imagine, again, not too familiar with his catalogue, but I can imagine he was a staff writer somewhere, a bit like, you know, Neil Diamond was and people like that, and he was writing for lots of other people.
Yeah, well, he started at the Brill Building, didn't he, with Carole King?
Okay. There you go.
He was there when he was 16, 17 and churning out that stuff for quarter.
Where was the old grey whistle test? Was that in New York? Because apparently, do you know the origins of that?
No, I actually thought the whistle test was in London.
Well, the thing is, that's the show is called the Old Grey Whistle Test.
Right.
Apparently, the Old Grey Whistle Test was, and I don't know whether it came from the Brill Building in New York or Tin Pan Alley in London,
Right.
and they had this thing where they would, to try and find out whether the song was catchy or not, they used to go out of the building and they used to, and I don't know whether it was, I don't know what was grey, whether it was the grey hair, but it was like the janitor or somebody sweeping up. And I think he had either a grey coat on, or it was because he had grey hair and he was an older guy. What they would do is that they would whistle the chorus, like the melody, the top line to the guy.
Wow.
And if he could whistle it back to you immediately,
That's
they said,
great.
Wow.
that's it. That's it. So I can't remember whether it's a London thing or a New York thing, or but that's
awesome.
the origin of that phrase.
Wow.
That's so cool.
That's brilliant. I mean, can you imagine someone going to you saying, "Come on, down, doobie doo, down, down," and trying to get that out of your head for the rest of the day?
He wrote Carol, didn't he? Oh, Carol.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great.
And that was apparently written about Carole King, because they were in the building there. So I'm told anyway. That's how the folklore goes. Pick one, Neil Sedaka.
Well,
You picked Immigrant, didn't you?
I didn't think that was going to be yours. So if you want Immigrant, I'll pick a different one.
No, what do you think is mine?
I thought you were going to pick Hungry Years.
No, that's a great song, The Hungry Years.
Have you heard that song, Mick?
Yeah, you know The Hungry Years, of course.
Hungry Years are amazing.
No, you know what? I'd probably pick Going Nowhere, but that's going to be my number 2. Going Nowhere is a great song. My favorite Neil Sedaka song is called Betty Grable.
Oh, amazing song. Do
you know it? Great song. That was on Sedaka's back, I think, on the album. And it's a song about Betty Grable. Simple song, great song. How did we go from...
There was a transition, wasn't there? You know, when he came back a little bit in his older years, he did some different. It was a different kind of material, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, he came back and did. He did. Well, he had all the early stuff for Breaking Up Is Hard to Do and so on, and then he went to France and really became a recluse, I think, for about 10 or 12 years, and came back with an album called Sedaka's Back and did That's When the Music Takes Me and Love Will Keep Us Together and those types of songs, Solitaire.
Standing on the Outside, what's that one?
Yeah, Standing on the Outside. Standing on the Outside. Is that what it's called, Standing on the Outside?
Is it Standing on the Inside?
Standing on the Inside. Standing on the Inside.
I don't know if we're in or out. I'm not sure.
Am I really educating you two on Neil Sedaka?
Yeah,
It should be the other way around here, shouldn't it?
But he's got so many great songs, incredible stuff. So here's a question for you, random. I don't even know if you have an answer for this. But again, without blowing smoke up your backside here, you really are an amazing singer and capable of fronting any band. You front Go Now right now with Gordy Marshall, the music of the Moody Blues, which is, if anyone hasn't seen that show, you've got to go and see it, because if any, and I'm going to say the word tribute, but I'm only saying tribute because they're playing the music of an original band. If you're going to see a band like that, it could not be sounding sonically any more perfect than when you hear Go Now. They've got every nuance down, from Mick to Gordy and the whole band, and Graham, the sound engineer. It's fantastic, the show, Mick. Just brilliant. Just brilliant.
Were you brought into that show after the show was already formed, or were you there from the conception of it?
I was there at the start. Basically, prior to it being a full-on Moody's thing, Gordy and I had met again, it sounds very grand. We were in Cape Town, of all places, in South Africa, and the Moody's, 10cc and Procol Harum were doing like a triple header at this big stadium. And I'd known Gordy for on and off for 30 years and sort of bumped into him occasionally and kind of stuff. And then we were just having breakfast and we were just laughing about how ridiculous it is that two jobbing musicians who, you know, in the real world haven't got a penny to rub together, you know, that live from week to week, are sitting in this most ridiculous hotel in South Africa, being like eating oysters for breakfast. And then once the gig's over, when we get off the plane at Heathrow, we go back to our lives and have to put the trash out with everybody else. And we were just talking about, you know, the fact that, you know, you get home on a Sunday from Heathrow and then for 2 weeks you're unemployed, you know. And he said, well, why don't we do something? Let's put a band together. And we we got a few friends together. We got a guy called Paul, who was the keyboard player of the Movies. He was with the Movies for 20 odd years. A couple of other guys, a guy that plays with a British band called the Manfreds, which is like a shoot off of Manfred Mann's Earth band, with Paul Jones, the singer, on vocals and harmonica and stuff. And so he was on bass. We had a guy that Goldie knew from who did Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, and it was a bit like I mentioned earlier with the frontmen. You know, we kind of did covers, but we only did the songs of the bands that we had an association with. So it was a kind of a bit of everything, a bit of Movies, bit of 10cc, bit of Cliff and Manfred's, War of the Worlds, some Hollies stuff because Paul had played with the Hollies for a bit, and we tried to do some stuff. It was critically acclaimed by every audience member that came to see it. They said, "This is fantastic. It's almost like turning like like a smooth radio station on for 2 hours. It's the soundtrack of my life. It's fantastic." But the promoters and the people that owned the theatres didn't know it wasn't narrow enough for them. So they like to have, put a poster up, and within 3 seconds people know exactly what it's all about. Yeah. And we I guess we bowed to that, and so we said, well, what should we do? What are we going to do? And we had a look, and we were very pragmatic about it. We said, well, it can't be a 10cc tribute because I'm already in the band. It had to be something else. And at the time, Goldie said that the boys, John Lodge and Justin Hayward, they were thinking of slowing down. So he said, well, we should just go and just do Moody's thing. And as you so rightly said, it's not, we don't dress up, we don't pretend we're the Movies. It's not like an ABBA type tribute band or whatever it is. We just go out and play the music. And so it's, I think people have described it as what they call a legacy band because Goldie was still a member of it. So that's kind of how it started. So it was a phoenix that rose out of the flames of another project. So we said, look, let's just set our stall out and we'll call it this. It was originally called Legend of a Band because an album was called Legend of a Mind. And we thought that was a nice tribute to the movie, saying this is a legendary band, a play on words, but even then people didn't get it. So we just said, well, Go Now, the song movie. Oh yeah, we know Go Now. We know that. So we said, well, we call it Go Now then. So it's Go Now, the music of the Moody Blues. And great. And we have to use the word tribute, really. I think legally, we've been told through the back door that we've got to make sure that whoever sees the poster knows that it's not the Moody Blues. So we have to use that word, which is cool. We understand. I mean, the tribute world now is becoming sort of peppered with the real people a lot of the time, isn't it? So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I always say it's finally being recognized as a legitimate art form because it is, like you say, one thing to dress up as Elvis or whoever, but it's another thing to replicate the music in such a tasteful way where it is true art, and it really is. There are some tribute artists out there who do get dressed up like them, and some of the best shows we've ever seen, Go Now being one of them. So
well, I've obviously spent the last 10, 15 years touring places, and 10cc have been on a bill with, a lot of 70s, 80s rock bands where there's only one member left. Yeah. And they just sort of like fall onto the stage and just rattle through a dozen tunes and walk off. There's no love there particularly.
No, exactly.
And be something like the Australian Pink Floyd, or you'll listen to Brian Wilson's band, who were effectively a Beach Boys tribute band from LA. Yeah. That Brian dropped into, and they do it, and because they do it with more love and more passion.
You're absolutely right.
And you two guys with the piano thing that you do, and the thing is, you want to do it right, You want to do it right, and so that's kind of our MO basically,
That's great.
Our mission statement, is just that we want to do it, and again, just to tell everybody if they haven't seen it, we try to replicate it exactly as it was when you first heard the tune. So every band kind of takes their music away because they're a bit bored with it. So even the movies, themselves would play tunes and change them a little, or speed them up, or drop the key a little bit, or whatever. But we've endeavoured to replicate all of the, and especially with today's technology, with samplers and keyboards that have got God knows what sounds in them. You can you can replicate mellotrons from the 60s and 70s and stuff. So we.
Absolutely. So all the 10cc stuff is all still played live in the original key?
It was when I did it.
It's up there.
Well, that's
Good.
awesome.
That's great. That's great stuff.
This show is just awesome, isn't it?
No, it's brilliant. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. No, it's great. I mean, I am we'll go out and sit in the pool, and all the neighbours can hear is 10cc or Gilbert O'Sullivan, because that's all I play out there.
Well, this bit of Gilbert's not too bad.
I love his stuff. I just talked about it on a previous show. Someone asked me who's my favorite all-time musician. It was a show with Vijay Amritraj, a tennis player, and so he gave me a question and he said, "Who's your favorite all-time musician?" And he was expecting Paul McCartney or Billy Joel, and I said Gilbert O'Sullivan, and he thought I was joking.
Well, I had the wonderful honour. It was probably 18 months ago, 2 years now. I obviously, I still do bits of work with other singers, like in choirs or bits and pieces if I'm needed to do stuff like that. And in England we have our kind of, as you know, our kind of mainstream mature radio station is Radio 2.
Yeah.
They have this thing called Friday Night is Music Night. And they have various lots. It's everything from rock to pop to folk or whatever. And they asked Gilbert O'Sullivan to do a Friday night's music night, and I got a call to go and do backups for him, which was fantastic.
Nice.
And what was really lovely was, do you remember Laurie Holloway?
Yeah.
The orchestrator. Well, he did all the early orchestrations and productions for him. He was produced by somebody else, I think, but Laurie Holloway did all of the the orchestra stuff for him, and he asked Laurie to do it as well, and he sort of came out of retirement to do it. So you're sitting there, we've got all these scores, like virtually handwritten from the 70s, and so with, it's Claire, Alone Again Naturally, and I even, in rehearsals, I think it was Alone Again Naturally has that acoustic guitar solo in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother, who's 4 years older than me, we used to do it in our local community centres and stuff like that, entertaining old ladies and whatnot. And I remember him spending weeks learning that solo. And I asked for permission, but basically I took a little bit of video at that moment and sent it to my brother. Just saying, after 40 years, or more, I'm standing next to the guy, and here's the solo. So that was a lovely moment. I've got a picture with him as well, which was
That's brilliant.
and a lovely. I don't know if you've ever met him, but the loveliest of men.
I haven't,
Very
and we've done
very fun.
We've done 120, 130 of these shows, and we have a wish list of guests. And Gilbert's been at the top of my wish list for from day one. I haven't had the chance. I would just love the chance. I am enormous. I know every single thing he's done. And on that subject, I'm going to ask the very same thing we asked about 10cc. What is your favorite Gilbert O'Sullivan song?
My favorite Gilbert O'Sullivan song?
Do not pick mine. You don't know what mine is anyway. Same with you, Mick. What's your favorite Gilbert song?
I think it's Alone Again Naturally. Really, it has a bit of a soft spot for that.
Amazing song.
It is a great song.
The lyric, it's a beautiful song, and then he's talking about throwing yourself off.
I know.
And then it all. Going, wait, what did he say?
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
When the strings are coming in and it's all lovely and it's,
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What's yours?
I'm forgetting the name of it now.
Ooh.
Can I cheat? Can I look
Yeah,
at my...
you can cheat and can look at the thing. I know what I'm going to pick, but I'll wait for you.
Okay.
While he's looking, Mick, thanks for being on the show. It's been brilliant today.
Pleasure.
So good. I hope you're keeping safe. You're looking well. Looks like that no booze for a few months is working well on you.
That'll do. Yeah, I'm about another back on the wagon. I'm about 4 weeks in.
Good for you.
The weight's slowly going.
Good for you. Good for you. It's tough. What's your song?
Nothing rhymed.
Oh no, I did. It's a great song.
Nothing rhymed. Was that your favorite?
Yeah, I've got 3 of them. So that was one of them. One of my favorites is a lesser known one called "Who Was It?" Do you know it? Who was it that caught you falling and put you back on your feet? Great song. And but I think my
It's a musical, isn't it?
sorry,
In a musical.
he did a musical.
We did a couple of tunes that were really wacky, and it was from I don't know whether it got done or whether it didn't happen or whether it did. I didn't hear about it, but yeah, he did a musical.
No, I don't know that. I don't know that. But my number one song, I think, not because it's a great song, but because I think it really speaks to being brought up in England in the 60s, and that's "We Will." Do you know that one?
We will.
Yeah.
Great.
The
The only guy that would put an I Bagsy Bean in goals in, you know, and I don't know if you know Andy Williams. Andy Williams called Gilbert O'Sullivan to record 2 of his songs, and one of them was "Alone Again Naturally," and the other one was "We Will." And he said, and Andy Williams, the story goes, said, "I just need you to explain what the word Bagsy means." So, Gilbert. I'm sorry?
Did he sing it in the end?
Yeah, Andy Williams recorded both those songs. Yeah, yeah, great stuff. Mick, thanks for being on the show. This has been brilliant. Love everything you do. It's great knowing you, and I'd love to see you next year when you come over here. And I want you to come to our house, and I want to sing "I'm Not in Love with You" at the piano. That's all I want to do. Then I can die happy.
Yeah, what key do you want it in?
I think we'll do it in F. What key? What's the original? Is it F or A flat?
Well, it's in E.
Okay.
It's in E. But the verse starts in A.
I'm not in love.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it. We'll do it in that key. I'll go off the booze for 5 months and do it.
Good. I'll hold you to that.
But we will not video it as evidence.
Promise.
Thanks again for being on the show. Had fun?
Oh, yeah.
We're listening to 10cc tonight.
Oh, yeah.
10cc all night. Thanks everybody for joining us on TADTalk. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.